Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone for giving me, making this time change and giving me the opportunity to address the commissioners. My name is Walter Tabachnick. I reside at 465 40th Court Southwest in Vero Beach. I haven't spoken ever publicly one way or the other on this project. And I felt it's long past time to do that, and I wanted to do that as a matter of public record in terms of addressing the commissioners. I'm an avid kayak fisherman. I use the Oslo River Front Conservation Area routinely. It's a pristine area. It's one of the best areas, as everyone has said, in the county. I also have a professional interest. I'm the director of the University of Florida Medical Entomology Laboratory that's located right on Oslo Road. And this is an internationally recognized center of excellence for research on mosquitoes and mosquito-borne diseases, which has actually become more prominent, unfortunately, in Florida and the United States. And this laboratory has been there for nearly 60 years. So we were there when a lot of this was happening. A lot of the research that has gone on early on about the lagoon in this area was conducted by scientists at this laboratory. We have an interest in this because anything that can affect the ecosystem of this precious area of Florida could impact our ability to conduct and continue our research. That's one of the reasons we were located in this area, and one of the reasons why we are the ones who are one of the major partners in overseeing and shepherding the Oslo River Conservation Area, which surrounds this area. And finally, I'm here as a citizen of Indian River County, and I think as citizens we're all interested, and we've talked about this lagoon has problems. In the last few years, that's been something we've had to address. Now, on this matter of this project, I don't want to question the motives here of the people involved. I think everyone here can be called an environmentalist. We're environmentalists, and I use that term in the most positive sense, and not in the negative sense that sometimes people use to label people, the media uses it to label someone in a disparaging way, to dismiss the seriousness of the issues that we're talking about here. So here we're all environmentalists. And I want to thank the commissioners. All of you have made and showed your public support for protecting the lagoon. And you've had workshops, you've solicited information. You've solicited information from experts on the lagoon. And many of those experts are here talking about this particular. These are the very same experts that you're going to address other issues about the lagoon. So on this particular project, there's many people, some people, who maintain with certainty that this project will not harm the lagoon and not harm this particular area of lagoon. As a scientist, I wish I could accept that. But as a scientist, I can't. There is no certainty. No one could possibly make that claim that with certainty we can protect this little precious area. And in fact, that's despite this morning all of the engineering that I've heard to try to engineer the potential impact of this project on this precious area. I've never met an engineer who didn't think they could engineer something and solve a problem. Okay, that's their business. But we have a lot of projects that have been approved and permitted and gone down the route that hasn't protected the environment. Just talk to the people in Jensen Beach about their lagoon. We don't need that here. We don't want that here. So what I stand at, even though I do see the merits that many people the commissioners basically have said about this project. There are merits to the project, but there are experts, and the experts, I'm not a particular expert. I'm a working professional scientist. I'm not an expert on the ecology of the lagoon, but I know some experts on the ecology of the lagoon. These are people who have studied the lagoon for the past 30, 40 years, studied the ecology, in fact, of this pristine area off Oslo Road, the specific ecology of this area off Oslo Road. Not someone who came in and did a few surveys. These are the experts who I rely on. These are people I respect for their professionalism, for their peer-reviewed publications on this ecology, some of whom have worked in my laboratory. So I have to respect them. And these experts are telling us there is great potential that this project will do irreparable damage to this section of the river, of our lagoon. Irreparable damage to what we all agree is a fragile environment. We understand the fragility of this. And so I want to reiterate that one term, irreparable. That's a strong term. This project will change the ecosystem, will change the ecology. Anyone who doubts that, that's the purpose of the project. The purpose of the project of paving a road, that changes ecology, changes the ecosystem. The question is this project going to do irreparable harm to this wonderful little habitat that we have here? Irreparable means forever. We lose the nurseries, we lose the seagrasses, we lose it forever. Is that risk worth whatever balance you want to make out of this? Is it worth losing the very thing in conservation? Commissioner O'Brien, you're absolutely right. A conservation area that's not open to the public, what's the good? But a conservation area that opening to the public destroys the area we're trying to protect, what's the good of that? I use this area. This project will provide some benefits to this area, but frankly, all of the benefits you're talking about, for the most part, are matters of convenience, for God's sake. Is this matter of convenience to the boater or the kayaker worth losing irreparable damage, the potential of irreparable damage? If the people and the experts are correct, and we move forward with this project, there is the potential for that to happen. No matter what you try to do in terms of the engineering that I've listened to. It's all smoke and mirrors about the engineering. There's no certitude that one can attach to this. And I'm asking for better certitude. So, no one, no matter what their beliefs in the merits of this project, can possibly move forward with it in the face of the risks that have been put on and being placed on the table here. No one. And this is a difficult decision for you. Difficult decision for you, but it's a moment of truth. You have made statements, public statements I fully support, in your interest to protect the lagoon from further damage. You have principles that you try to follow. The goals of these principles: do no damage to this lagoon. We want to protect it, we want to preserve it, and we want to improve it. So none of us would like our legacy in this manner that we're going to leave to the future, would like their name attached to this project as someone's folly. And that's what the potential is here. So I'm urging the commissioners to reflect on this. No matter what you see in the merits of this, you must take into account the potential risks that this is going to cause irreparable harm, no matter what you hear from the engineering side of this. No one can do this with certainty. I'm a scientist telling you, no one can do this with certainty. You need to take the high ground. You need to take the high ground on your decision here. And to paraphrase the songwriter Joni Mitchell, don't pave paradise to put up a parking lot. Thank you.
Anthony, earlier you had mentioned you thought it might negatively impact the scientific work at your lab. Could you expound a little bit on how you see that negatively impacting the work of the lab?
I don't even want to get into the potential damage that could occur on the increased traffic that one expects on the basis of this up and down the road. Once you change again, we're talking about a complex ecosystem. You're just thinking of a road. The road is part of the ecosystem. And so by changing the quality of the road, you're changing the ecosystem in ways and sense I can't really predict. I can give you the downside of this, but I can't I can't provide you with the assertion that you seem to be able to provide me in terms of what you think is going to happen after you do this project. I'm not willing even to make the assertion of specifically how it's going to change the quality of our ability to do the work. I'm worried about that. I'm concerned about that. But I would never get up in front of a public and claim that I can tell you with certitude that you do this and this is going to happen. I don't know. All I know is that you're changing the ecosystem in ways I can't predict. And it's a delusion for you to think you can predict it.
I only bring it up. Just recently, immediately adjacent to your campus, about a half to 3/4 of an acre of old, centuries-old oak was bulldozed down and cleared to put up a community center with the stated goal of bringing hundreds of people through there to educate them and then have them go down and explore the conservation area. So if you're worried about increased traffic, did you speak against this project with those hundreds of people that will be going down the road to walk and kayak and
Peter, if you want to talk about that project,
I'm talking about impacts.
As impacts.
Right.
That is a completely different concept, if you will. What this project, the RAM project, is doing is it's not the equivalent of taking out oak trees and changing the ecosystem of a small area down in that 1 acre. The ramp and the traffic that flows through the entire Oslo riverfront conservation area is on a completely different scope of impact.
And that's my question.
Absolutely.
The hundreds of people that will be going through there that will then drive down to see the conservation area.
Absolutely. And the placement of that facility, they're not equivalent. And the placement of that facility on that side of the entire conservation area is not going to have any impact that you have the road going through the entire region. So I don't want to, you're trying to say to me, why was I for that and why am I against this?
Because those hundreds of people are going to drive down Oslo Road.
No, they're not driving down Oslo Road. They're driving a couple of hundred yards down Oslo Road.
And then they're going to drive down to go see what all the conservation land is about, Walter.
Well, come on.
Why else would they be there, Walter? Why else?
You know, you're trying to split a hair in terms of making this project in Oslo the equivalent of that one section towards the west of the entire system. And this is towards the east through the entire thing. It's also not have anything to do with the impact on the seagrass beds, the impact on the fisheries. This has a collection of impacts that greatly outweigh what I hope hundreds of people visit the center that's been created there. I do hope that, because that brings back to what you were asking, why have a conservation area if no one's able to use it? I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that center in that position has anywhere near the environmental impacts on the quality of what's going on in that entire area that this paved road and the docks and the dredging and the potential impact on the fisheries could have. And so, again, we're in this is a sliding scale, Peter, Commissioner O'Brien, a sliding scale in terms of what your risk-taking potential is here. And I believe the risk is way too great on the impacts on this ramp project to proceed at this particular time.
And Walter, I'll just respectfully disagree with you.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yep.
But the defense has to be, if I'm wrong, and the experts here are wrong, and you go forward and there's no impacts on this pristine little ecosystem, congratulations. The ramp is there, the seagrasses are fine, the fisheries are fine, and we've provided a little more convenience. People don't have to truck their kayak a little too far. Congratulations. But if we're right and you go forward, you destroy this system forever. Don't take the risk. It's not worth it.
Mr. Walker.
I thank you, but we need to move on. So,
Mr. Chairman, I just had a quick question for Doc here. We've never met. We've never heard from you before. Yes, you're absolutely
First
right.
time I'm speaking on this issue.
Never spoke before us, never made a phone call. I appreciate that. Maybe you guys know each other. But the bottom line is, we've heard from several people that had certain understandings and concessions and appreciations for factors in this project, some better than others. Some said, yes, I think Mark, you said that it was a good idea to do that, but I have a problem with this. I would like to know from you. You're looking at this project, you spend a lot of time researching. What part of this project would you say, hey, that's okay? And what part of this project do you say is the game changer that says we all need to band together to stop it? What are those elements? Are there one or two elements that you can see us making a change?
Commissioner, that's an excellent question, but I'm going to evade it. And the reason I'm going to evade it, because it brings up the whole history of this thing. This thing has been a bunch of horse trading.
But maybe people need to hear that.
Well, it's been a bunch of horse trading. Look at the evolution of the project.
Time.
I don't care about the time.
Please, we haven't.
I just want the truth. If you're talking about horse trading, then we need to know that. Because
Well, I
I'll tell you
believe-
what,
all
I
right,
have no
my
vested
personal
interest in
belief-
this, and
my
I have not
personal-
been convinced that it's got to go forward, and I have not heard from anybody, and there's been some aspersions about boat ownership and usage and
Commissioner-
belonging this to people. I have none of that.
Commissioner, you can't...
I just want the truth.
Absolutely, but you're in the unfortunate situation. You're just trying to, and again, you're at a moment of truth in terms of you're just trying to find a way through this in the best way to serve the public. I understand that.
There you go.
But the paradox here is that this project has proceeded in a way you look at it as horse trading. Look at the plans that the county has proposed. The plans have been proposed and then, well, we can't do this. How do we mitigate that? And then how do we mitigate that? And how do we mitigate that? Well, we finally mitigated so much, we're done, we're ready to move forward. And you're looking for, in a sense, I'm kind of chagrined that somehow the permitting becomes the entire issue. Because let's understand this. If the permits are issued and approved, that doesn't absolve you of your responsibility in this whole thing. It doesn't give you a way out to then go forward with the project. That project still has to be met by a burden of proof that it's not going to damage the environment no matter what the permitting process. That's the legal part of this. That is not, a lot of permitting is done and a lot of projects are approved. Go down to Jensen County, look at their lagoon and see what projects were approved that got them into that situation. I don't know, and it's not really something I want to investigate. I don't want to get into that Dr. Tabachnick said this portion is okay, let's move forward. This whole project needs to be taken a step back and evaluated in the discussions like Commissioner Davis said, in these types of discussions. But in the end, the final decision, if you will, is your vote, is how you're going to approve this or not. And on this basis right now, in this type of body, you can't possibly, if you want to not damage the lagoon and you do not want to cause any further damage to the lagoon, you're not going to get assurance from anybody. Anybody who says they can assure you that this project will not harm the lagoon is a Svengali. No one could possibly know that. And given the risk of this project, you cannot move forward with it at this point. That is the fact. If you are asserting that your reason to be right here with the last couple of years with the known damage that has come to this lagoon, the known damage, and you're not going to cause any further damage, and you're doing things to try to improve it, with all of the things you're doing on the side, how can you possibly move forward with a project that potentially could cause damage? You cannot.
I'll agree with you, Doc, because I don't believe that this project would even be thought of today.
Well, I think, as one of the previous speakers said, the last couple, as Commissioner Solari said, the last couple of years has been a real eye-opener to a lot of people around how fragile this system really is. And although I was skeptical about the scope of the project, the only time I ever spoke about this project before was when it was first mentioned roughly 8 or 9 years ago. And I came here with concerns about the project, and Commissioner Davis said we need to work with the county and look at the project, and we did. And we looked at part of the project, and we approved certain things we did not. But then the project was expanded and changed, but the eye-opener was the algae blooms. You can't move forward at this time, given the fragility and the importance of the nurseries here, that you're experts on this. People who have published scientific papers specifically about this ecology. The very experts you're going to about all the other aspects of the Indian River Lagoon are telling you there's potential that this thing could destroy this nursery. How can you possibly move forward in the face of those? You can't. You possibly can't.
You're suggesting that we've gotten this far with the project over the past 7 years with the trials and tribulations, the concessions, the mitigation.
Well, it also, my opinion of that is it shows you how you were looking for a solution that may not have been out there. I understand the need. There is a need that you want to do. There are people here who believe there are merits.
Okay.
And as I said to you before, this is a tough vote. You guys this is a tough vote for you, but it's a moment of truth. And you're either going to take the high road and protect this, or you have the risk of this project will be known, and I won't use anyone's name, someone's folly, if the experts are right and you're going to destroy this precious resource. I wouldn't want that as my legacy.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you. We've had a request for